Okay, Michael, so you are now streaming live.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Kim is going to be your TA. She will be here soon.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah. Wow, that's great. You enjoy it.
Hi, Michael. Good morning.
Hello, Kim. Hello. Good morning to you too. How are you?
I'm good. I was just with Sue earlier.
You were just what?
I was just with Sue. I was her TA.
Okay. So have you been in other classes this morning?
Yes, I was. I was with Sue actually earlier.
Okay.
Did you put in the phone?
Kim, I see that what you write now in the chat is a little different to what it was a week ago or so. Okay.
Yes, they kind of revised it. They changed it a little.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you still help people with when they have problems with their microphones or?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Okay. I see they used the word. Where was it? No, it's the man I found it. Make me personally. So I can moderate. Okay, that's a new word.
They created a template, so we just put in our name, fill in our name in there.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, we just got a minute or so to go. We're already live streaming. And the class will start on the hour. Hi, let the class begin. Hello, Bonnie.
Yes,
Welcome.
thank you.
Okay, and what part of the world are you from?
Well, I'm not right here at the Golden Gate Bridge, but I am in Northern California.
Northern California. Okay, so it's still quite, it's not very late there at the moment.
It is nice there. And where are you?
I'm in, do you want to guess?
England.
No, I'm from Australia, Perth, Western Australia.
Oh,
But
I've
you
been to
won't-
Australia.
Oh, have you?
It's a wonderful place.
Yeah, that's great. I'm not an Australian. I've only been here 3 years. So my accent is not Australian. So that's why I was interested to see what you would guess. My accent is South African. Okay.
Oh,
And so, yeah. So,
well,
yeah.
wasn't that area settled by the English?
You're quite right. And
Yeah.
by the Dutch. Okay. And the two always fought, and they still fight today. The English and the but more in tongue in cheek these days than anything else. But yeah, the English beat the Dutch, then the Dutch beat the English, and there were all sorts of wars between the two, let alone the indigenous people that were also there.
And they're still having wars.
No, they're not. No, they're just
Oh.
having. No, about 20 years ago, there were free elections and did away with all sorts of racial discrimination and so on, and that worked pretty well. And it grew into, with Nelson Mandela leading many years ago, it grew into a lovely country, a free country. But anyway, that's history of
Yeah.
another. Arlene, it's nice to
Our
see
history
you.
lesson, huh?
Okay. Yeah. So welcome, Arlene, and welcome to Carol too. Hello, Carol. Yay, yes. You can put your mic off. It's fine. Don't worry. There are only about 5 classmates in here, so that's all right. We can chat and ask questions. Hello, Lily. Hey. Welcome to Lily. Hey,
Yes,
you
hi.
there?
Yes, I made it. You remember I was in your class a few days ago.
Yes, I do. And I remember the microphone was a bit soft there, and it's a bit soft now. I'm an old man with hard of hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that better?
Yes, much better. Thank you.
I'm so looking forward to this. I've tried to catch this class several times, but I fall asleep. But
Weren't you in Massachusetts, or where are you?
I'm in New York.
Oh, New York. Okay.
Oh, so it's later there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's 11 here.
Where in New York are you, Bonnie?
Yes, I am. I seem to be lost on some page that says launch meeting.
Okay.
No,
And I
see
can hear
here.
you. Can you hear me?
Yes, and see you. I can see you too.
Oh,
I can't see you. I
can't see anything but this white screen. So I'm fumbling around.
You with the bridge behind you.
Well,
The Golden Gate, yeah.
let's see if Kim can help you. Kim's our support person that's already in class. Kim, if you can help Lily with the.
Yes, I'll just send her a message.
Okay. All right. Lily, there's a message coming to you on chat, and Kim will help you sort out
Oh, thank you.
what you see. Okay. All right. So, yeah, welcome to Carolyn. Way, yes. How are you, Carolyn? Okay.
I'm good, thank you.
Good. You are there. And where are you from, Carolyn?
I've lived in Maryland in the United States, but I'm in Texas now visiting my sister.
Oh, good. Okay, that's great. Carolyn, what brings you into this class? Are you a green fingers microgreen grower?
No, but I took your Sue's class, and she said that you were teaching this class, so I'm nosy. So
yeah, she teaches all the beautiful artistic, creative classes and
right.
and yeah, lovely classes. It's up her alley, not mine. I love business and I love growing microgreens and working in the garden and so, but not creative in that sense like she is. So Donna, hello and welcome. Okay. Can't hear you though. Your microphone's still off. That's all right. Hi. Okay, that's good. Brendan. Brenda,
You-
Brenda. Yeah.
Hello.
Are you in California?
No, do I sound like a Californian?
No, where are you?
I'm in Western Australia.
Oh my gosh. Okay, because it's very late here. That's why I was wondering.
Yeah, it's early. Yeah, we've just gone 11 a.m. in the morning.
Uh,
So after this class, I'll have lunch while you go to bed.
yeah, it's 11 p.m. here.
Yeah. Okay. And Brendan, can you hear me? Are you there? Brenda? Not Brendan, Brenda.
Yes, I hear you.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night. Which is it?
Evening.
Evening. Okay, where are you from?
Oh my gosh. I just hit the little Zoom thing at the bottom and it works.
Welcome.
Perfect.
Great. Okay. All right. So, but I still can't see your video then, Lily. Okay. But at least you're there. At least you're in. So can you hear me, Lily?
Oh, yes, I can. Thank you. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Yes.
That's great. All right. So I want to just get a quick little background about how familiar you are with microgreens. Bonnie, we start with you.
I have grown sprouts in a bottle in my kitchen, and I assume that those are microgreens of one kind or another. Yes, no? Okay, well, I will learn something new.
Okay, Carol.
I did exactly what she did. Potatoes and carrots, and you cut off the bottoms and you turn them upside down and put the water on them, or you take the scallions and you put the little roots in water. And I was going to plant them in my garden.
Okay, fair enough. Or you can plant in plants, in pots at least. Yeah. So, Arlene, I know why you're here, but you want to tell us?
I brought this thing that I had planted my
Yeah.
little,
Seed.
well, they were seeds, yeah, in here.
Right.
And I've grown like wheatgrass, and I forgot the other things I've grown, but I have, and I want to do it again.
Great. That's over and above all the other things you do.
Yeah, right.
Arlene does quilting, don't you?
Quilting and collage and
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. I know that.
gardening.
She was in my Pinterest class. That's where we found that out.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a lovely app that if you want to, I'm sure Arlene agrees with me. It's a great app to just find information and store information and things like that. But that's not
My favorite.
you can find out how to grow microgreens there too. And you'll find me there as well with my microgreens and so on. So Donna, why are you here?
My daughter lives in the Berkshires in Massachusetts, and she has an allotment, and she bought a bunch of seeds, and then she had an extra packet that was called microgreens. So I bought my cat some oat seeds,
Yeah.
and it came with this pellet that you just add water to, and it turns into soil. So I stuck it in a little pot and did that, and it grew like crazy. So then I had another empty pot, and I put it in, and I put the microgreens in, and they grew like crazy. And I keep cutting them off and putting them in salad, and they just grow back. So I just was thinking I'd like to do this on a mass scale, and I don't know how.
Okay. It sounds like you got a potential business going there. That's great. That's super. It's lovely when that happens, and there are all sorts of media. We'll talk about it during the class now. And so let's just go to Lily. And Lily, you found your way back into the class. Welcome again. But tell me why you're interested in microgreens.
Oh, well, I love eating them, and they're also very nutritious. And that's really the reason they're very nutritious. For me, it's efficient. They're small. It's tasty. It's very nutritious. So I don't have to eat like bowls and bowls of vegetables. And
Yeah.
yeah, and so it's just sort of efficient eating.
Yeah, very efficient eating, and particularly for seniors. And I'll tell you that during the class as well.
Yeah, so to me, it's just efficient eating.
Okay, right. And lastly, Carolyn, why are you in the class?
Remember, I'm the nosy one.
Yes, now I do remember. All right. Okay, no, that's fine. I'd like to introduce you to Kim. You've already probably met now because she's helped Lily. Kim is from Get Set Up, and she's going to help moderate the meeting and collect your questions and just help where I need help. And it's great having you on board, Kim, so welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Okay, so let's get started. Microgreens. Now you just look at those images on your screen, and I hope you can all see my screen. If you can't, shout no. Okay, you can, right. I'm glad your microphones are off. They would have been deafened. Right, so just look at nothing more, just concentrate on those images there. I'm sure you'd have a lot of words to describe what you've seen. And I'm not going to ask you now because I'm going to ask you later about it. But, you know, you could say colorful, really colorful. If the textures are different, okay. And the one thing I can't do on Zoom is give you the aroma, okay? But you can imagine the differences. But anyway, I've got to start by introducing myself, as is customary with Get Set Up classes. I live in Perth, Western Australia, and the time has just gone 11 a.m. in the morning. And my background is researching, writing, and have trained historically. I'm a business consultant, and I enjoy gardening and writing and being a father. I've got lots of children. You won't believe it. And anyway, and I love the Get Set Up classes and interacting with you guys. You know, it's, for me, it's what I was really, I should have been doing this a long time ago. And but anyway, I've only just joined a few months ago now. So let's get clear, because we had somebody say, sprouts and microgreens the same? No, okay. Microgreens are young vegetable greens, as you can see on your screen. And they grow to about, depending on the seed, it might just be an inch. And then you get much taller ones, perhaps like beans, that grow taller. And for those who are metric, about 5 centimeters on average. And Australia here, we use metric measurements. So they basically are considered baby plants, baby herbs or baby vegetable plants, okay? And they are somewhere between a sprout and an actually full-grown mature vegetable, okay? And as a number of you have said, they have a concentrated nutrient content. And I'm going to talk about that during the class as well. So you get a whole variety of different microgreens, basically almost, not totally, but almost, you know, anything that you can grow as a vegetable or as a herb, you can grow as a microgreen, because it's just a stage that all plants go through in order to mature and become the fully grown plant. So these categories, or the types of microgreens here, I've done that not for any other reason. And if you like, you must just tell me during the class or before the end of the class. You know, I can send you a copy of an attachment with these things so that you don't have to take notes now. So you must just let me know that you want it. If you don't, you won't get it. Okay. So the different categories of vegetables, of greens, and so forth. Okay. Okay. So there are technical names. Now, I'm not a technical person. Okay. I'm a gardener. Okay. I'm a writer. So I've given my own names for these, and you don't really have to give them names. But you could call this the cabbage family because they all belong to the same family as the cabbage does. And they have similar ingredients, nutrients. That's one of the reasons why I'm showing you these different types of categories, because if you're going to take it seriously, then, and I hope you do, because there are so many benefits, right? You will want to know basically a little bit more than what I tell you in the class about the nutrients. I generalize a lot in the class. That's just to get the adrenaline going so that you get rushing out of here and start growing microgreens. And so then you get the lettuce family, or you can call it the aster family, and then the carrot family down the bottom here. And wow, and they all got so many different nutrients, but we'll talk about that. And then, of course, you get the garlic, onion, and leek, the allium family. And of course, below that, you get the green leafy family. Okay. And you've got no idea just how nutritious those beet leaves are. Okay. And then finally, you get the gourd family, the melons and the cucumbers and the squashes. So those are just broadly the type of categories. Now, there are hundreds and hundreds of different possibilities of seeds that you can get and so on. But I want to just start at this point and show you the difference, because there is somebody in the class that needs to know the difference. Okay, no
Yes.
name mentioned.
Yes, they do.
Okay, all right. So there,
Excuse me. Can you eat carrot greens?
I'm going to come to that. Yes,
Oh.
you can. Yes, you can. Okay. As you can see from the image, on the left side of the image are sprouts. So sprouts are, you see the seed and you see it sprouting. Okay. And you can eat the whole sprout. Okay. And whereas on the right-hand side are microgreens. And microgreens, you can eat everything except the seed. So you don't eat the seed of a microgreen. You eat all the green, thus the name. Okay. And greens are planted in soil, and that's one of the reasons why you don't eat the seed. Okay. And then sprouts, of course, are not planted in soil. As we heard earlier, you can grow them in a bottle in your kitchen and so on. Light is an issue for both of them. Okay. And there are different phases that we go through with light. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but keep that in mind for now. Sprouts don't require as much light as do microgreens. And I think the reason will become obvious as we move forward. But in a nutshell, the leaves are now interacting with the light. The chlorophyll is now interacting, and there are nutrients being formed in those leaves from the light. So it's important to have good light for your microgreen, but you can also use a grow light. Okay, and then both of them, ventilation is also a concern. Both need ventilation. Sprouts need it. Even though you've got it in a bottle somewhere, it still needs to be ventilated. Otherwise, you're going to get mold. And so although you use the same seeds for both sprouts and microgreens, you do grow many more seeds as microgreens than sprouts. And we'll get into seeds a little later and move forward with that. Okay.
You'll have to watch it. You didn't see any of it, really.
Sorry, say that again. I missed that. Okay. Okay.
Somebody's microphone was on.
Oh, I see. So it wasn't a question. Somebody was just, all right. So why grow microgreens? And I guess, the why is always important in our lives. It doesn't matter whether we're looking to start a business, or we're looking to read a book, or we're looking to paint a picture. We always ask ourselves, and we must always ask ourselves, why? Why are we doing this? Okay. Because if you don't have a why to live for, okay, you're going to just peter out with the first little challenge or problem that you get. So, it's ideal microgreens for people who don't have a garden. But for those like myself, I have a garden, but I don't grow vegetables in the garden, okay? So another reason is that if you're growing microgreens, you've always got organic veggies right there. Just immediately you start eating. They're there. You can go and harvest them, and you can start eating. And as you're starting to gather now, and some of you already arrived in this class, knowing that microgreens are super food, okay? And I'll tell you a little bit more about that and why for seniors particularly. They are full of nutrients. And of course, it is even a better way if you do it properly and do a nice diversity of microgreens and a variety, than taking supplements, okay? Because you don't know whether your stomach's absorbing those supplements, okay? Stay tuned and listen to what's coming up just now, okay? And then, of course, they're tasty and they're colorful as well. And the biggest health benefit is a very, very broad category called polyphenols. Microgreens are full of them. And they are all sorts of different things, because I said it's a broad category. And I'd love to take you on a journey one day through all the nutrients that fall underneath there. But in a nutshell, to keep it, as this is the first class and first introduction, I guess, to some of you for microgreens, microgreens have antioxidant properties, and you need antioxidants because they stop the free radicals which cause disease, and the free radicals can damage your cells. So you need antioxidants, and you need other things which are also part and parcel of the microgreen. Now, there are more nutrient, the benefits are that they're more nutrient dense than the fully grown plant. So if you take let's say the common one that we all know, spinach or broccoli, and those two that I've mentioned are probably 10 times more nutrient than the full-grown plant. Okay, so you've got to eat a lot. For example, you eat 1 ounce of, let's say, broccoli microgreens. That's equivalent to eating 1.5 pounds of mature broccoli. And there's some other benefits, which I'll come to in a minute as well. But that gives you an idea, okay, as far as nutrient dense is concerned, and ideal for people like you and I. It's really, so eating polyphenols, anything with polyphenols is really a great sort of knowledge for you to start off with, okay? Because there are all kinds of phytonutrients, phytonutrients, maybe a better word to use, that are shown to do things like lower cholesterol, help with triglyceride symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis, okay, Alzheimer's disease, cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and even for people who have had the unfortunate going through of chemotherapy, it helps with the recovery of that as well. And it's just absolutely amazing. And the reason is because the microgreens, if you are not absorbing well in your stomach, and you wouldn't know if you're not absorbing well in your stomach, okay? You might be falling ill regularly, you might be getting the flu regularly, and which just means that your immune system is not working well. And for your immune system to work well, your microbiome in your gut has to work well and has to be efficient and healthy. And microgreens automatically heal your microbiome if it's not well, but it also helps strengthen it and makes it strong, which in turn then will make your immune system strong. It's simple. It's simple. So take microgreens, eat microgreens, and get the nutrients that are in them, knowing you'll get the nutrients, okay? And of course, you can grow all the year round. You don't need space. You just need good light, okay? And if you haven't got good light and you want to do it in your basement, then buy a grow light. Okay, and there are different types of grow lights. So I think, you get the tubes traditionally, going back now, the tube, but now you get the LED lights as well. And I haven't had the opportunity to experiment with light. Wherever I've been, whether I was in South Africa or here in Australia, I've had good light and good sunlight. And in fact, it's a pleasure sometimes to get out of that light because it gets so hot here. But you can, and I've read a lot about people using, particularly commercial growers. They use grow lights of various descriptions. Some swear by the tubes, others by LED, but they both seem to work. I think that's probably the bottom line. All right, so now, starting with which seeds, okay? Now, you can start with any seeds, all right? You can, if some of your friends or family are using, you start with the seeds they've got. They can give you some seeds, okay? But otherwise, if you look at these particular seeds, now remember, generally speaking, they all have high nutrients. The polyphenols are in all of them, okay? But each one has an emphasis when you're looking at nutrients slightly. If you just look at what they look like, okay? So yes, each leaf looks different. The coriander looks different to the broccoli, to the basil. But now if you look at the coriander, it's a high source of fiber, for example, okay? So if your stomach's not working well and you just need more fiber, but we need fiber anyway, right? Everybody needs fiber. It's also, coriander is also very rich in manganese, in iron, in magnesium as well. And the leaves are rich in vitamin C and vitamin K. So believe it or not, it also has protein, okay? Not the highest of these, yeah, but it has protein as well. And you need protein in order to assimilate other aspects. So this is why sometimes, only sometimes, I'm not speaking against supplements, that you buy a supplement, let's say magnesium, okay? But, unless you have the other things that work with it in order to help the microbiome absorb, you're going to absorb far less than what you should be, okay? So, even if you take your supplements, and take them with microgreens, okay? And let the microgreens help there as well. So it has small amounts. The coriander has small amounts of other things as well, like phosphorus and potassium, niacin, and so on. But it's also, there's a word that probably, you may not have heard, and that's luteolin, okay? Luteolin. It's part of the flavonoid family, and it works very well and interacts with protein. And this is the actual chemical. If you had already had chemo, that is the chemical that's going to help restore your gut and everything back and your immune system back, is that one chemical, because it interacts with a whole lot of others. And so the little things like this that I know I'm going into a little bit of detail, which I shouldn't. But the most important thing is to realize that microgreens are, first of all, they're growing fast in the world. Now science is finally starting to catch up. You can now get lots of scientific papers proving the things that I'm telling you now. But who wants to read science papers? Just, find somebody that you trust and talk to them. That's my philosophy. And I find a lot of that on the internet. I find people. So then we go to broccoli. Broccoli has a large quantity of magnesium and manganese and copper and zinc. And they also have, you heard of things like essential minerals. Broccoli has essential minerals. And most people are deficient in essential minerals. So you can eat your vegetable like your mom told you to do. Okay. Now you do it, except it was a little bit past your childhood. Then you get basil. Now basil is a great source of protein. Okay. So, although the others will have a little bit in, like I said, coriander, basil has a lot of protein in. And you've probably, you would have eaten basil or cooked with basil. And what I've done, I eat the microgreens, but I also allow one or two of the plants to grow into full-grown plants, and then I have them in pots. So I've always got basil nearby, and I have a jug with lemon water in that my wife and I drink. But every now and again, I put a bit of basil in as well. Just gives it like another little flavor, or a bit of mint I'd put into the water with the lemon. So so basil comes in handy in all sorts of ways. You can, but it's very nutritious. All right. So besides what I've already told you, high in protein, it is vitamin E. Okay, it's the niacin, and it's a very good source. It also has lots of fiber and has all the other things that I've mentioned, like vitamin C and K and B6, folate, calcium, iron, magnesium. Basil is a power punch of nutrients. Then, of course, you all know the chia seed. It's been marketed very well, just as the chia seeds. Okay, and I guess a lot of you might have eaten chia seeds. It's marketed as a superfood. And I'm saying, yes, it is a superfood, but so are all the other microgreens. Okay, they are all superfoods. Okay. And so chia, its particular strength is helping your microbiome take up protein, particularly. Okay. And also the fiber, the dietary fiber as well, but basically the protein. And if you have a risk of diabetes or diabetes 2, then chia, I would head towards chia a little bit more. And I used to still have chia seeds that I just sprinkle on basically what I'm eating, because I used to have diabetes and I've nailed it. Okay, so not only with chia seeds, all right, it's not a one for all, but it's part of the regime. And I write a lot about that on my website, because I've shared freely the information that I've gone through, just my journey. I've got no science behind my journey, but I've got my journey. And so I write about that on my website. And I get people, who are following me, because at one stage I couldn't even walk. I was in a wheelchair. So it's interesting how you can heal yourself if you know what not to eat, because that can be a big thing as well, but then what also to eat. Okay. So, I'll mention radishes. I won't go through all the rest. They've all got their particular, but radishes contain A, B, C, D, no, not D, A, B, C, E, and K. And they deliver the usual calcium, iron, magnesium, and so on. But radishes are also rich. Now, this I want you to just take in, because this is what makes radishes more special and more super. And that is, it is rich in essential amino acids. Now, and chlorophyll. You need to have those essential acids because your body doesn't make them. So you need to make sure, and they are essential. That's why they're called essential by the scientists. Okay, essential amino acids, and that's part of your protein variety is in that. So
does it matter what kind of radish? Because you have black radish, red radish, white radish?
I've only ever used the what you see in the picture. Okay, I know there are others. I can't answer you honestly, but I would, with confidence, I would say regardless of the color. Okay, but I only use the one you see there in the color there. So. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be all of them. Thanks for bringing that up. That's an important thing. I will remember that in future, and I'll do some research on the others and come up with. And the chlorophyll now is interesting because, as you know, just from your general knowledge of the word, is that that is the substance in the leaf of the microgreen, and the leaf of any vegetable, green leaf. Okay, it reacts with the sun. And bright light, and so it adds another dimension into the nutrient rich and enriches the nutrients even more. Okay, and by the way, chlorophyll is also a natural deodorant. Okay, so you can mix something with chlorophyll, you can make a drink with it, and if your breath smells, you can drink that, and bye breath. And so there's a bit of useless information. Okay. All right. So you can start with these seeds. All these seeds are easy to grow. Okay. But you can start with any seed. Okay. If you have a preference, start with what you have a preference with. Okay. These are not the essential starting seeds. These are just seeds that I use and I find easy to grow. I have a few others too, like flaxseed. I grow that regularly. It grows very quickly and very easily as well. They all grow very easily. Okay, you just mustn't get in their way. Okay, they want to live. They want to grow. They want to flourish. They want to please you. Okay, allow them that privilege. Don't overcare for them. Okay, so I just want to touch on this. There are three reasons that you may well decide on choosing a particular microgreen. Some of them have a crunch. Okay, now I enjoy the crunch. Okay, now there are lots of ways to eat them. At the end of this class, I'm going to show you various ways to eat them. But if you just take pea shoots and eat them, they taste like a pea out of the pod. Okay, they're fresh and juicy and crunchy, and they taste like fresh peas. Okay. But so do the sunflower and bean shoots. So that's one reason that you might want some of your microgreens to be crunchy. Okay, you might want to also be a good chef, like in a restaurant, and make your plate look beautiful with various colors of microgreens, knowing that they are nutritious. Okay, and there are various microgreens that become very colorful. Okay. And I think you mentioned one just now, just with looking at radishes, they come in different colors. So, if you're looking at color, then you could, but there's a lot of like kale and red cabbage and so on. Microgreens are also can be strong in taste. Okay. And so some are already quite bitter, if you like, and others are virtually across the board, hardly taste of anything. Okay, and you're getting your good microgreens. So if you don't like the strong taste microgreens, then you would opt for some of the others that are not strong tasting. But if you're going to put it with a salad or something, then it's good to have some strong tasting. If you're going to garnish something with it, good with strong tasting. So yeah, there are all sorts of. Okay. Before I go on now, let me stop and find out if there are any questions up to now before we start talking about how to sow them and grow them. Yes, Carol.
I saw it said sorrel. Is that the stuff that grows like wild? I do wild edibles, so just wondered.
Well, I haven't seen them wild in the countries that I've lived in, but I can well imagine that they could be, and there's no harm because a lot of good things grow wild, and we need
I think it's called wood sorrel.
Okay.
No, it might be called lamb's quarters. In Canada, it's called lamb's quarters.
There we are.
That's
Okay.
even better because that's also a wild edible that it grows and just grows. Wow,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, any other comments there around that can help Carol? Yeah, thanks for that, Donna. Okay. Okay, thanks, Carol. So now I just want to show you something here, which is just ignore the image at the moment. I want to just talk about microgreens and harvesting. Now, I think it was Carol, was it you that said earlier that you just harvested them and then they grew again? Who said that? Was it?
I did.
You did, Donna. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can get many harvests from microgreens. Okay, but what you must try and look out for in order to get more than one harvest from a seed is you need to. You see in the image here, not all, but most microgreens will start off with two leaves that come out right near the base. And they put those out in order to get the light and the polyfill to start growing the plant and enhancing the nutrients and getting the green to become green. So when you harvest them, you want to try and leave the bottom leaf there. Okay, and cut above the bottom leaf and eat all the rest of it. Okay, remember never to eat the seed. Okay, so if you do pull the whole thing out, and then you must just cut off the seed. You can still eat those bottom leaves, but don't eat the seed. So so if you cut a little bit, the higher you cut, maybe is also a way to explain that. The higher you cut away from the ground, the more likely it's going to regrow. So, but otherwise, if you want to be a specialist, look at just cutting it and getting the maximum of from the bud, and then you'll get several harvests from them. Okay, and but you've also got to look after them in their own way. Like all plants, they're going to need sunshine. They're going to need water. And if they get too much sunshine, there's a problem. They get too much water, there's a problem. So you just got to largely use your common sense. Okay, so where to grow microgreens? Indoors, on the balcony, on a well-lit area. It can get some sun, depending on the harshness of the sun. You can allow them to get an hour or 3 of sun. It'll just enhance their whole well-being and the strength of the plant. Okay, but they don't need sun if you've got really good daylight. In other words, in the northern hemisphere, I suppose it's the southern windowsill. In the southern hemisphere, it's the northern windowsill, and wherever you get that. And but certainly, and I just want to show you something else, because they need to sprout in the dark, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, you can grow them in anything, absolutely anything. I don't know if you've got that strange company called McDonald's in North America. Okay, they give you the stuff that take away foods. You can now use those styrofoam. I don't know what if they use styrofoam ones in America or not, but whatever they give you your takeaway burger in, whatever, you can punch holes in it and you can grow in that. You can grow in egg boxes. Okay, you can grow in things that the supermarket give you their vegetables in or their meat in. It doesn't matter. Okay, and if you buy online, your seeds online, you can buy kits online, and they'll probably even send you a container. But it doesn't matter where you grow. Okay? If I grow in soil, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But the one thing that I want to make sure you take away with you, only use organic seeds, okay? Or seeds that have not been treated with chemicals. Now, farmers tend to buy the treated seeds because they're more nutritious, not nutritious by any means, but they are more chance of sprouting and growing into full-grown plants and before they're eaten by bugs and things like that. So they put insecticides on the top and they treat the seeds so that the seeds will definitely go. And some of them are even genetically modified for farmers as well. So you really want to avoid those for microgreens, okay? Definitely want to, you must get organic seed, okay? So don't just go and buy your vegetable seeds that you plant in the garden and think, well, I'll make some of the microgreens and some in the garden. No, okay? Must be organic. You can put organic in both places, but make sure your microgreens are organic. All right, so now we're looking at do you or don't you soak your seeds before you plant them, okay? Now, what I do, first of all, you don't have to. Let's start there. You don't have to soak your seeds, okay? You can plant them straight away. And depending on the kit that you buy too, the kit will give you instructions if you do buy a kit, okay? I don't buy kits, I don't use kits. I have historically in order to learn, but I don't now because I enjoy using soil, for example. So, but what I still do, I still soak the larger seeds, okay? Like the flax seed, like the pumpkin seed, and so on. But I don't soak alfalfa, for example. And I certainly don't soak chai. They're small seeds. And chai, if you soak them, turn into jelly too quickly and are difficult to handle. So I just use for myself a sort of, if they're big, soak them for overnight. Okay, soak them overnight, soak them for 24 hours. That then helps the whole sprouting process and makes it just a little bit quicker to the time that you're eventually going to eat them. Okay, so the first thing you do is you find a container, as I've mentioned already, and you put holes in the bottom, or like, who showed us that container now at the beginning of the class? Who showed us that wooden? Was it you, Carol? No? Arlene, was it you? No? Donna, was it you?
No.
Okay, I think it was Arlene. Okay, she showed us a tray, and she had the tray fitted into a wooden container to make it look better, okay? And but you can use any sort of tray, all right, as long as it's got holes in the bottom. And you don't need a professional tray, but if you got them, or if they're around the corner from you, then buy them, okay? And also the size of tray is irrelevant totally, but remember, you're going to harvest them and you're going to eat them, or you and your spouse or whoever is in the flat with you is going to eat them, or apartment, I think you call it in America, don't you? So yes, don't overgrow, because you don't want to store them if you can avoid it. But I'll talk about storing in a minute, okay? So now you've got soil in there. I use organic soil, organic seed soil, which is freely available from where you buy those sort of things. We call them nurseries here. I don't know, I suppose you might call them plant nurseries, okay? I'm not sure. That's what you do. Thanks, okay. And so now you take the seed and you sprinkle them across the surface of whatever you've got. It can be a mat that you've bought. There's a growing mat that's made out of coconut, and there are other mats that you can use, and which that come with kits and things like that. None of them are wrong. Okay, I grow with soil, and I have a reason for that. So I pat down, and then I sprinkle the seeds. And the denser you sprinkle them, the denser you sprinkle them, the more dense it's going to be the microgreens that come up, okay? And the other way around as well. So what you mustn't do is just have them on top of each other, you know. They can be next to each other, but they mustn't be on. They can be touching each other, but preferably, you know, it's difficult when you've soaked them, for example, but those are bigger ones. You can almost place them with your hands with the bigger seeds. But when you've got tiny seeds, you know, like radishes and so on, you're going to have difficulty with that. All right, so now you sprinkle the seeds And now you just wet the surface with a spray, water spray, just a domestic container that you've got, fill it up with water. We drink structured water, so I just use structured water, but use any water, use tap water, that's fine. And you spray the top of the soil. You do not want to wet the entire soil from top to bottom, okay? And if you do by mistake, well, that's fine. You've got holes in the bottom to get it drained out, and you need the soil to get to a pretty dry state. But you need to keep the top of the soil damp day in and day out, okay? Now, in the beginning, you wet it, and now it needs to go into darkness. Now, if you've got 3 or 4 trays of microgreens, you just put them on top of one another. And you can then put them in a cupboard, okay? And that's fine. They're in darkness. Okay, and you don't take them out of the cupboard until they have really sprouted. You can see the sprouts clearly. And another way to do it is put a board on top of the tray and put the board wherever you want to until they sprout. The other way is to do what I do. I tend to put soil on top of the seeds. Okay, I sprinkle soil on top so you can't see any seeds, and you damp them down. It doesn't really matter how deep they are, but they must be in darkness in the soil. Okay, and then you can put them in a relatively dark place, or not in the bright light, but certainly you can just leave it on the windowsill, I guess. And if the sun comes in there, then just put a tray or something on top of it, or a board on top of it. So now you're leaving them there until the seeds are sprouted. When most of the seeds are sprouted and they're out of the ground, let's say, or you can clearly see they sort of standing up just a small amount above whatever you use in a soil, if you're not using soil, then you need to move them now to a well-ventilated place, a well-lit place, okay? And then you can water. You water as often as is necessary. Feel it with your finger, the top of the ground. If the top of the ground is dry, wet it, okay? Because you want the top of the ground to be wet, okay? Most of the time. Sometimes, depending on what season it is and how dry the air is, once a day might be enough. Twice a day would be safe, but it might also be dry in the middle of the day, and so you can spray again. But certainly twice a day you would be safe if you spray it. And then you talk about the harvesting, which we've mentioned before. You can see from that icon there, a very sharp knife or a pair of scissors well above the ground, and you would get a second thing. Now, let me stop there and just check if, with regards to the planting of and the process of planting, are there any questions?
Hello, Michael. There's a question on the chat by Kathy. I'm sorry. She said, how long does it take for the seeds to germinate generally?
Okay. That's a very good question. And if you're talking generally, you're talking about 3 days, okay, for them to not to harvest, but to sprout, okay, to sprout from the bottom. Some of them will then grow and you could harvest them. So the earliest you'll be able to harvest them will be 7 to 10 days, okay. Some of them will take like 20 to 25 days. And you're going to find that out of experience, because depending on your light and depending on how much sun they get, you want them to grow generally, although there are small microgreens too, generally about between 1 and 3 inches tall and 5 centimeters maybe. And then you can harvest them. But you can harvest them at any time after they've developed leaves, okay? So there's no special time necessary to harvest them. But also you'll find even big seeds like I've mentioned already, flaxseed is quite a big seed. But yeah, I find mine are the first ones to come up, okay, and sprout. And so, but I do water beforehand, overnight. Okay, does that answer your question? Okay. All right. So looking here, if there are no more questions, just please answer it. These are just some images of harvesting. All right. And you can see the harvesting with scissors or with a knife. You can harvest it. If you are going to perhaps not even want a second harvest, okay, then you still got to harvest above the ground level, above the soil level, all right, to make sure you're not getting that seed. And so you can then cut it, and then what I do if I'm not getting a second harvest, or maybe my first harvest wasn't good enough, I wasn't happy, so I'm not going to now, because you'll lose some of them in a second harvest and a third harvest. So if the first harvest wasn't great, then I cut them, and then I just toss them into a big bowl out in the sun. And I've got sun in my garage. In fact, you don't call it garage, do you? I'm not sure what you call it in North America. And so anyway, and then I'd leave it there. If you've got a mulching bin or something like that, you can use that, but then you've got to wait for the other mulch to decompose as well. But otherwise, I just keep all the soil together, and I reuse the soil in time to come. Just take it out of that particular open bucket, let's call it that. Okay. So harvesting becomes important. I told you I would come back to storing microgreens. But think carefully before harvesting them and wanting to store them. Okay, rather leave them on the plant. Okay, let them store on the plant until you're ready to eat. Okay, so they grow a bit taller, the leaves get a bit bigger. Doesn't matter. Okay, they've still got the nutrients, and but if you have to harvest them, okay, and you cut them as we've seen. What you do is you take 2 damp pieces of paper, you put the microgreens on one, put the paper on the other damp paper on top, and you put them into a locked container, a plastic bag that seals, and put them in the fridge, and they'll be as fresh as they were 7 days later. Okay, when you harvest them. So that's a good way to store microgreens, is give them the moisture. Don't take all the air out, just give them the moisture, seal it, and put it in the fridge. And only rinse your microgreens before you eat them. Okay, maybe the morning before you eat them, but not before you store them. Okay, and because then they go damp, and that's going to cause a problem with maintaining the freshness and the punch that they have. Okay, so maintaining moisture is the key part of keeping your microgreens fresh. Right, I told you I'd end off the class with some ways of how to eat them. Now, the one that I read yesterday, and I haven't had a time to find a good image to put in here, but there's something now that's been across many countries, and that is they are now doing microgreens and putting it into bread. Okay, loaves of white bread particularly, not other bread, white bread. And the science is showing quite a lot of amazing things that will happen. But I think in time to come, when I've researched it enough and maybe even experimented with baking it, but it certainly has, they found it's got a beneficial effect with regards to the wheat being absorbed, and the toxins that are like glutens and things, that it breaks down the glutens having you eat at the same time with microgreens. So they're busy baking it. But otherwise, in the meantime, until I've found that out, just if you're having white bread, put some microgreens on the white bread. So you can see, you can add your microgreens to salads, and look at that pizza. You're now turning a pizza. Let's assume it's made with cauliflower base, okay, and cheese and whatever else goes into it, and throw microgreens in. You can actually bake with microgreens at the same time as you're baking the pizza. It's great. But look on the left here. Look at that juice, or you can make a juice. You can make a smoothie. The main ingredients worldwide that are most popular are wheatgrass and broccoli. Okay, those two are very popular. They blend well for taste. One of you earlier in the class was saying that you grew wheatgrass. I don't know if you made a juice out of it or not, or you juiced it or not. But
No.
was it you, Ollie? Okay.
Yes. No. I just
Okay.
put it in the salad.
Try it. Okay, but you can garnish anything. There's a burger, you know, you suddenly take a burger and it becomes different. And so, you know, what have we got there on the left-hand side? Okay, just amazing what you can do. You can tell me there if you want to know what's on the left-hand side there. Okay, but it's a savory pancake, all right? And so you've got, let's say, salmon in between and whatever else, and you put your microgreens in there. Now you put quite strong tasting microgreens to enhance maybe the strong flavor of whatever you're making it become a savory one. Okay, and in this case, these are peas. They wanted a more sweet flavor. Okay, so so you've got a pea shoot savory pancake. Okay, so they, you know, you really can put it every. There's no minimum either. Okay, let's move to the right image there. There we got a roasted acorn squash with microgreens, a quinoa salad. Okay, and if you happen to be vegan, then this is a great salad. Okay, because it's packed with all sorts of nutrients in that particular one salad. Okay, yeah, other ways to eat it. There we are. We've got our normal spring salad here on the right. You know that anything goes into a spring salad, and you've got, and that's when you can cut up whatever you want to add to it. But look on the left of that. Okay, there we've got a strawberry chocolate tart. Okay, with microgreens, so you can put them on your dessert as well. So you can put, so now you would choose and select your microgreens, not just any microgreens. The pea that is on here is a sweet microgreen. Okay, so you would then add it to a sweet dessert, and it's just I haven't got to that yet, but I'm looking forward to getting to that. And then you know, finally I mean, you look at that I call it the rainbow salad on the left for obvious reasons, where you just, the microgreen just finishes off that that salad that you've already created. Then on the extreme right top here, you've got a soup, okay? And you've got a roasted broccoli soup, okay? And the microgreens mixed in with it. And you can have the microgreens with it while you're cooking it. You can put them in afterwards. It's up to you. But it's really that I've had, and it's very, very tasty. And you can put, you know, 500 milligrams of microgreens in there, and really make a lovely soup. Okay, you can also make it with beans. You can also make it with sunflower seeds as well. A beautiful soup. Then below that, of course, we got the roast beef tea sandwiches. Okay, and my way, I'd say that's typically British. Okay, but maybe you have them as well in other parts of the world. And but then on the extreme left, you can just see the color there. That's like a purple salad. If there's such a, maybe we call it the purple salad. And that's where color is used, but it's also got a taste and a half. Okay, then finally, I mean, even look at this image down here in the bottom right-hand corner. There we've got a wild rice microgreen salad. Okay. Now, wild rice is pretty nutritious in itself, okay? But imagine now with the microgreens, and the microgreens will give it a taste, okay? Second to none. So, Yeah, we've now come to the question time again. If there are any questions about anything or any comments, maybe you want to share something from your experience as well while you read the tips I've got on the screen there. Okay.
Do you have a source for your seeds?
A source
Yes. No,
to put on the
source.
mic.
Where do
Sorry?
you get them?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I get them online in Australia, and I see online in North America. You've got some really good websites. We've got
We
some
do,
very good
yeah.
ones here. So we get them in Australia where people specialize in organic seeds,
Yes.
and in New Zealand as well, which is not that far when you're flying in an aeroplane. And so that, but look for them online, okay? That's where you'll find them. And you also get them in different quantities. So, I would usually, because there's only my wife and I, although I have kept some of the ones we eat in now, I've kept in sealed bottled glasses for 2 years, and they're still sprouting well. Buy in smaller quantities, like 250 gram or something like that, as opposed to a kilogram or a couple of pounds. Okay. But you'd find them online. Look online, and you'll find all sorts of websites. There are people that sell kits, as I mentioned earlier. And so, buy a kit. There's no harm in buying a kit. It's just going to cost you more in relation to just buying seeds. But, to start off, you want to build confidence that it actually works and it grows, and get a feel, in your environment where you are, depending which direction your apartment's facing and whether you're using a grow light and so on, how long it takes they'll all sprout and they'll all grow, but they'll just take different lengths of time. And you have different ways of caring for them. So find out from your experience how long they take to grow and before you can harvest them. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, Michael, you had touched on this earlier. When you say when something doesn't grow very well, or something about the soil, can you reuse the soil again, or you cannot? It wasn't
Yes.
clear.
You can certainly reuse organic soil again. Okay. If you're buying seeding, I buy organic seed soil, and what the difference is between organic soil and organic seed is just that it's been sieved, so it's very fine, and so you could grow it in the others, but it might take a little longer to push through something that is organic, lying in like a piece of wood or something in the organic soil. So if they sieve it out, it's fine. And especially if you're going to cover them, you don't have to cover them. You can put them in a dark place and leave them on top of the surface if you wanted to, okay? And wait for them all to sprout and put down some roots, and then bring them out to the light. But I sprinkle soil on top. And I use organic soil particularly as opposed to all the other means, because the roots are also now gathering nutrients and gathering chemicals that are going to be beneficial to the leaves, and you're going to be eating the leaves. Okay, so that.
Right. So if you try some and it didn't work very well, so the soil you can reuse, but do you go in and take the seeds out from the previous one, or you could just sort of leave them in there and reuse the soil?
Yeah, that's also a very good question. You must empty them out. Empty them out into a drum or some sort of container out in the open somewhere. It can even be on your balcony. Because it'll become lumpy because the roots are now holding the soil together. So you want to break those lumps down and get them out of the way. The roots will die very quickly and just add to the organic soil. And I probably use them, maybe even a week later. Okay. No, I probably 2 or 3 weeks later. So yeah, you just leave them for a couple of weeks. But even if you had to use them quite quickly after the first one, I wouldn't empty it out and then immediately reuse it. It needs to aerate a bit and needs the live roots to die, which they do very quickly. And then you can use it again. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Pleasure. Any other questions from anybody? Now, I want to ask you a question. Okay, you can either give me thumbs up, or you can give me a nod with the head, or you can tell me the answer yes or no. Are you going to now grow microgreens?
Yes. Yeah.
Let's go. Thanks, Arlene. Okay, Bonnie, thank you. Okay. And Lily, oh, Lily gives me a thumbs up. Okay, that's great. All of you, that's fantastic. Now, what we must do is we must get together again, maybe in one of my microgreen classes, a month's time or so, and just tell me what your experience is, okay? And maybe you have more questions then please jump into any one of my classes. I do this about once a week. Yeah, please do that, and let's share. Let's grow microgreens together from class to class. Okay, all right. I really appreciate you being here. I just love your interaction, and it's fun for me. You know, I'm going to send you an email now. I gather nobody asked for the slides, so I'm not going to attack.
I would like the slides.
I'm only joking. I'm pulling your leg. Everybody asked for it, so I'm going to send it to everybody.
Oh, okay.
It's just my stupid sense of humor. Okay. All right. Go well. Sleep well. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Michael. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.